Alish?
Hello. Very good morning to all our viewers. We have tuned in today for a very special and unique business gathering on smart warehousing for a new age supply chain and procurement. Before we start, I would like to thank our partners and our host for today, BRICSPAC India and Next First, for making this event a possibility. So, without wasting any further time, I would like to invite our first speaker on the stage, Mr. Arif Siddiqui, the founder and director, Coign Consulting. Uh, Coin Consulting is a supply chain engineering company that specializes in optimizing storage capacities, operating efficiencies and processes, performance enhancement by its design of warehouse and distribution centers, and it masters the plans and internal layouts and automation schemes. Over to you, Arif sir.
Good morning, everybody. It's a nice sunny day during the monsoon session. I'm happy and thankful to Quantic and all the associates to have come to me for this keynote address. It's very important for us, to understand that smart warehouses for the new age supply chain and procurement are becoming an extremely important phenomena in the new ways of now that we do our businesses. If your job is to be in charge of supply chain management, then you are all well aware that the new normal is that there is no normal. Seems like forever since we saw anything resembling normal. It's been almost now 4 months, and I don't think there's been any normal life around this place. Even though we don't know what the post-pandemic new normal will look like, experts believe that whatever it is, it's here to stay. That's great. So basically, we all need to be ready for anything. Well, not exactly. The new reality is that companies can no longer make supply chain decisions based purely on economics. They need to factor in a variety of disruptions, including geopolitical events, weather forecast being unpredictable, and health problems. It's a lot to take in, and many companies are having decision paralysis over this situation. One of the important ways, therefore, is to set up supply chain command centers. Communication has always been important, and we have been speaking about this in several forums. But now it has become mission critical. The use of technology to access situations and accelerate your executive teams and ability to act on them has become important because we continue to be physically disconnected, and therefore we need to use technology to be connected. We need to run simulations to address business continuity issues. We need to determine the impact on our plans of actions. And should an area of business become affected, we need to take actions immediately. Proactiveness is becoming critical despite the fact that we have huge limitations in the way we work from the way that we are actually used to be working for the past several years. Manage your supply chain risk proactively is key because no more reactive demand planning is going to be working. We need to treat these disruptions as part of normal life. We need to explore supply chain regionalization. Consider ways to move more aspects of your supply chain basically closer to where a product is consumed. We need to create huge resilience in our supply chain webs. Question is, for example, how can you diversify your supply lines to reduce risk and ensure that you can scale up or down to feed your businesses as the disruptions hit? In short, we are saying that we need to take a deep dive into the businesses that you are counting on. That means your suppliers, not just the usual suspects. Go into the tier 2, tier 3, 4 suppliers with due diligence to analyze where the products come from, uh, how a pandemic or other crisis impact the business on a holistic level. So, friends, the importance of contingency planning to prospect resilience is key in today's hyper-connected global supply chains. I think it's safe to say that a lot of us, are currently housebound, and our new offices, are the dining rooms and the study areas. I can't say I've ever experienced actually anything quite like this in my 30 years of supply chain experience. However, we have weathered a number of storms, and what I can be sure of is that this too shall pass away. The recent development between, say, India and China or US and China has caused many companies to start looking at their supply chains and cost structures, and they begin to rethink their long-term strategies. However, in my opinion, there was no real sense of emergency around this, at least in the short term. The corona has actually changed that, and for many businesses, it's the straw that broke the camel's back. In the weeks and months ahead, supply chain resilience and risk management processes will be stress tested and weaknesses will be exposed. As a result, we will see more concerted effort to decouple the India-China economies as businesses actively seek to build resilience into their supply chain through diversification. And no matter what products, and services companies produce, the new normal has a high likelihood of impacting those products and services potentially, even making them a little obsolete. Companies, in my opinion, should expect that current changes to consumer behavior patterns will continue to be the epicenter of our strategies. Restrictions like social distancing, hoarding, the getting together, mandatory use of personal protective kits, equipments, etc. And new learned behaviors like remote learning, remote working, self-quarantining, online shopping, etc. will become the norm of the day and are likely to have a long-term effect on consumer demand. And we can see that so many things that we were not consuming in the normal days are being consumed, and many of them are quite exotic. Go back to your kitchens and you will find what I'm saying. Moving forward, companies that can assess and adapt quickly to changing market demands will be, in my opinion, best positioned for success. Changing market demands. That's going to be the key focus of all supply chain strategies. Whether you are restarting production or ramping up manufacturing, the new normal, is engendered, by COVID-19 which requires some fresh thinking. I mean, that's what we're saying. We need to get together to start thinking a little fresh. It is now becoming very, very difficult to determine product availability. Companies have experienced disruption in their supply chain as a result of transportation restrictions related to COVID-19. Now, if you see, many of the new restrictions that are coming up as governments are learning and facing all types of spikes, plateaus not really being found here and there as far as the infection is concerned, you will keep seeing huge disruptions that would take place, and most of these are not predictable. Can your pandemic supplier still provide what you need when you need it? Important to find out. The answer may not be yes, and you may not like the minimum order quantities. If you can expect anything, it's probably delayed deliveries from businesses that were shut down and just now have started or restarted. Companies will need to recapture market share of their products and services as demand recovers, while minimizing the overall products and excess operating expenses. That is another thing that is going to be a key focus, which is excess operating expenses. The coronavirus disease crisis has actually significantly disrupted the normal demand patterns that dictated supply chain decisions across distributions. Many organizations had actually fine-tuned over several years of practice and forecasting to using forecasting and demand planning tools to actually create a large amount of expertise and fairly good level of forecasting to take decisions across the distributions. Manufacturing and raw material procurement was pretty much in line with respect to forecasting the requirements, etc. But since these disruptions have happened so rapidly, and often unexpected in unexpected ways, it's a challenge to determine how much to produce of what, when, and where it's needed to go. Within a single product line, Demand for certain SKUs may spike up, while for others may decline. So companies that can learn from the unfolding situation to optimize their supply chain will actually have a competitive advantage and be able to optimally calibrate their actions in building a smart supply chain. Going forward, now more than ever, supply chains must react quickly and nimbly, having the right insight at the right time and keep refreshing the relevant forecast is becoming now key to the action. With the right techniques and the right technical capabilities, supply chain analytics and data scientists can be more valuable than ever in helping their companies respond effectively to the new normal. In order to be able to take care of all these disruptions, abnormalities, and difficulties in forecast, the warehouses need to become smart. If warehouses need to give back to the business anything, it's things that will emanate out of their smartness, which means warehouses will have to support businesses to the extent of being agile. So agility will become the key. Every smart warehouse should meet a few necessary requirements before being considered for implementation. Before adopting a smart warehouse solution, we need to make sure that they are agile, scalable, and they provide data visibility. If any one of this is missing in a warehouse, believe me, you will be short of the new normal. You wouldn't then be actually supporting businesses, and businesses will fall short in meeting the changing customer demands and the changing customer behavior, will not be able to meet the changing supplier behaviors and the supplier constraints. Agility becomes important to adapt the rapidly changing warehouse world. Scalability will also see a lot of difference. You would suddenly find online businesses going up, which will demand a different type of space requirements, different type of warehouse organization, a different type of investment in equipments to be able to manage that scalability. And all this is not going to be of any use and will not be operable, will not be highly efficient if you do not have sufficient data visibility, which always will be known will be an important aspect for the operations. Smart warehouse can position your businesses to optimize the supply chain and give you the tools needed to employ efficiency-focused strategies such as just-in-time, inventory management, etc., etc. Warehouse management system will give organizations an opportunity to understand their operations at a deeper level. What I mean to say is that gathering data naturally within a day-to-day workflow and sharing that information across lines of businesses is not possible manually. It will have to be done through warehouse management systems. The moment you have these warehouse management systems in place with all the appropriate processes being operated through the WMS, data capture will automatically happen and will be available to various streams of business to analyze and take decisions on. Warehouse operations are actually the bedrock, of manufacturing and customer fulfillment processes. I'm sure we all agree to this. Managing the supply chain and delivering inventory to product teams and customers on time are also critical to keeping these teams on schedule and getting goods out to the customer in a timely fashion. But all said and done, this is not very simple. Do not treat your warehouse simply as a cost center. That is necessary for doing business. Instead, it's actually a place where companies can create value by implementing modern digital technologies, smart warehouse strategies, empowering the organizations to unleash the full potential of their warehouses and fulfillment operations. So smart technologies will continue to shape nearly every industry. That's foregone, and smart technologies will become a necessity rather than an option. One of them I mentioned is the warehouse management system. Right? The use of collaborated and collated softwares becomes very, very important today. Automated picking tools. Many large distribution centers use human employees even today. We have probably adopted, or rather, many organizations have gone and taken up jumbo warehouses or large format warehouses, but still continue to use human employees to pick and pack their orders. But there is always huge potential for error, and we continue to see. Look at this. Look at the amount of returns that the e-commerce industry today is facing. Automated picking tools can reduce or eliminate costly mistakes by relying on barcode and RFID tags rather than visual item identification by human eye. These systems tie into warehouse management systems to generate inventory and order reports instantly. Automatic guided vehicles can be used, to replace mundane human movement from here to there. You know, some of these things sometimes sound very, very complex and expensive, but actually, if you get into doing a comprehensive cost analysis, you will find that these are not actually expensive. They uh, they will help you in improving the overall productivity, efficiency, and probably the alternate use of human to doing some things which are more efficient and more productive and more intelligent. Okay, so you can even use for pallet movement, piece movement, etc., etc. Racking and managing container storages. The only limit to potential applications are the programming and the available space within the warehouse. Collaborative robots and cobots. When employees and robots can work in the same facility, but there is usually quite a bit of space between them to ensure safety. Or collaborative robots can work side by side with people rather than replacing them. These robotic devices improve the productivity and workflow. Not all of them are very expensive. Again, automated storage and retrieval systems. Automated storage and retrieval systems mandatorily need not be the complex types where you eliminate every human being. No, there are semi-automated and retrieval systems where you are able to blend, as much as you feel is good for your organization. This requires a lot of customized study. If you are going to go to product companies directly, then you would end up buying a product. But if you go and understand, first of all, your problem and then design, get these processes automated and design the systems to be able to give you a good balance, then you would come out with high efficiency at low cost. Automated inventory controls, in warehouse lifeblood is so important. Without comprehensive inventory control, you find people doing stock counts and cycle counts the whole day. I've often heard the warehouse is closed for 3 days for doing a complete cycle count. I don't think that in these testing times, this is really going to help anymore. Smart sustainability, looking at alternate renewable energy, is going to be determined as smart. Handheld technologies, facilities that haven't adopted automatic inventory control systems can still forget about everything else. If you can just barcode, your boxes and use handheld technology, which boys, I will tell you that the brown-collar boys are extremely good at. And we have seen companies completely transforming themselves in the warehouse operations because they have adopted handheld technologies, which is very, very cheap now. And you find that there are no errors because data entry is completely now eliminated. Print and apply labels is another aspect where now with e-commerce and direct deliveries taking place, mislabeling of packages, before shipment causes a lot of costly mistakes every year. Instead of relying on traditional systems of picking, packing, printing, and labeling, I can see the IoT-enabled print and apply systems can manage packaging, labeling, and shipment operations autonomously. So finally, the positive changes that smart warehouses systems allow users, to accomplish are improved data accuracy and efficiency with smart warehousing, which means barcoding, implementing WMS, use portable data terminals or handheld devices, storage systems for capacity optimizations, conveyors, sorters, etc. And these systems of solutions that provide faster warehouse operations. We also need to take advantage of automation. I don't think we need to get scared of automation. The only thing is that we need to sit with an open mind. We need to sit with the experts. We need to sit with solution providers, and try to come out with something which is long-term sustainable, which is economically viable, and which doubles your efficiency. If you're able to double efficiency and productivity and put human to better use, I think you would have succeeded to be a new age warehouse operations company. So all of this can be done with more focus on valued tasks. Positioning organizations to automated and coordinated operations with greater precision. So the warehouse, as I mentioned, it contributes high value and creates cost saving through digital solutions that add a layer of intelligence to everyday operations. The enterprise, most of our organizations and large organizations have enterprise resource planning solutions, that is ERP solutions, which make this possible by providing data for the entire business. What we need to do is we need to connect the warehouse management system with production, accounting, sales, S&OP, all the ERP systems, and other teams to ensure that all stakeholders have access to the data they actually need. And finally, is the design of your DC or your fulfillment center or warehouse, as you would like to call it, that would actually design, that will finally create velocity in your operations. Revisit the layout of all the processes, smoothen the flows, and integrate them to the optimum storage retrieval systems and material handling equipment. Interplay the human efforts with the various flows to improve the productivity of human hands and minds. This, in my opinion, should be a key focus of all businesses and a solution that we should start looking at to develop the new normal. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Arif sir, on sharing your expert insights on the topic. And we'll now quickly jump onto a networking session for 5 minutes, and then we'll be tuning in for a panel discussion. So thank you so much, Arif sir. You too, sir.
Welcome. Thank you.